Welcome to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today for the match day versus Hamilton, I am joined by Colin Watt, who's looking really up for the Christmas spirit, and Kevin Graham. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good, mate. Doing good. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was excellent. I had predicted one each at Ibrox today, and it was obviously 1-0 to Rangers. They're scraping past a few results in the last few league games, but as I said last week, they'll be looking upon that as championship form. All we need to do today is outscore them. I was saying that to Kevin during the week as well. When we're playing games now, we just need to outscore them. So I'm going to predict, and we'll have a look at the team in a minute, Colin. I'm going to predict 4-0 Celtic today. That's the kind of result we need after Rangers winning 1-0 at Ibrox. What's your thoughts?
I was actually thinking 4-0 before you even suggested that. I'm looking at the team today. It's good to see there's not a lot of change from the side that played the other night. Good to see Sorrow and Turnbull still in the side. I see Sorrow's been told not to do any cooking in his house because he gave himself food poisoning. Probably a wise idea. I should pass that one on to my girlfriend as well.
Controversial.
It's all right, she's not listening. It's all good. We're good. But
why isn't she listening? Didn't admit that live on here, Colin.
No, the main thing, but for me today, is to see the service being given to Griff and Eddie. I'm looking forward to seeing that partnership getting another run at it. There was glimpses of what they can do the other night. And hopefully in a game like this, in a game against a side who are struggling with some injuries and some suspensions, we'll maybe see the best out of that partnership today.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember reading some reports after a humping against Rangers that Hamilton had, laid down and all that kind of stuff, Kevin. I had a wee giggle with you because Brian Chipper Rice is as big a Celtic man as they come. Brian Potter, who's the goalkeeper coach, actually went on my Celtic bus in the Hampden season for the 3-0 game against Rangers. And then you've got the wee kit man who's a big mad Celtic fan. So I'm not buying that. I'm certainly not buying that. But as Colin says, a weakened side already weakened further. So what's your thoughts on today's game, Kevin, and the outcome of that?
I can't say I'm looking forward to today's game, truthfully. It's like going to get offered cold turkey and having to watch Mrs. Brown's Boys again. If you look at you look at the weather outside. Look at the weather outside. The Fountain of Wayne Stadium's going to be absolutely a wind tunnel, and I can't see it being pretty. They've got a park which is like a student's carpet. I'll be happy with 1-0 and get out there with the 3 points. I can't see the day telling us nothing new than what we already can.
A student's carpet. I mean, I've got visions now, Colin, and I remember going back to that student's carpet comment that you made there, Kev, when Edouard made his debut, didn't he, at New Douglas Park? You remember that? It was his debut, wasn't it?
Yep.
And I remember speaking to you after the game, and I was of the view that he was excellent, remember? And a few of the Celtic fans were thinking he was off the pace, he looked lazy. The irony is that's been a story of his season, but I think today the big thing for me, Colin, we spoke when we're looking at the probable team. That's very similar to the team that we were looking at, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. The only concern for me is at the centre half position, seeing Beaton coming back in. When you're looking at Shane Duffy on the bench, he's either fit or he's not fit. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he should be starting. If he's not fit at all, he should be out the side and there should be another person brought in. I'm thinking Stephen Welsh could have come in and played there. Played there the last time we were at the Fountain of Wayne Student Accommodation Stadium. So he could have easily come in and slotted into that back four today. I'm surprised he's not even in the squad, to be honest.
And we were also talking during the week, Colin, about the formation, and you suggested when Amy was on the show that we'd probably revert to a 4-4-2. Mm-hmm. Looking at that side, do you think that's what we're at today?
I think we're playing the diamond formation again in the middle. I can see Sorrow sitting with McGregor and Turnbull just in front of that, and Christie playing off of Griff and Eddie. So I think the width we're going to get is going to have to come from Frimpong and Taylor today. And we've just been asking for them to get that final ball right. And hopefully today we'll see that. Christie, if he can cut back on the amount of shots that he takes and actually starts passing the ball through to the forwards, it will be good. Otherwise, anybody that's been at Hamilton Stadium will know that the fact that it's an open stadium, there's 2 supermarkets at either end. Somebody will be looking for the Boxing Day bargains and finding Ryan Christie's shops.
You know, I know that you love to have a wee dig at Christie here and there, Colin, but you are warming to the fact that a lot of the creative play comes through Ryan Christie. I mean, I think you'll accept that, yes. And on this, by the same token, I accept that a lot of his shots are wayward. They can appear kind of selfish. It's all about Ryan. But when they come off in style. Him and Turnbull on the same field now, I think, looking at that, obviously they were halving up the corner kicks other night, and that seemed to work okay. I reckon it seemed to work okay. But the creativity now that we've got with Christie and Turnbull has meant that players like, El Yunusi, for example, who was a starter for some time there, like Salt, who came in, he was a starter, kind of more over on the left and an attacking fullback. These guys are now, and Tommy Roderick, of course, who fought his way back into the side, these guys are now having to console themselves with a place on the bench. I mean, it is a fairly strong bench, very experienced bench as well. I'm looking at that side though, Colin, and I think we've got enough on that park to win this game fairly comfortably.
I would say so, yeah, definitely. Especially when you're looking at, I mean, you hate saying this because it could be like 0-0 at half time and you turn around and say, but before the game, you boys were saying it was a weakened Hamilton side. They're second bottom in the league. They've had points taken off them today by the SPFL. Everything's going against them. They've been beaten in the last game against David Martindale's Livingston, and yet you're still nothing each at half time. So we don't want to jinx it. But I think the team that we've got out there at the minute certainly should be, on paper, good enough to stick at least a few goals past them today. If I did have to make one change to the side, it would have been bringing in Tom Roderick for a game like today. I would have had Roderick in before Christie.
Is that due to the fact that you have something about Christie that, you're looking for all his faults? Because for me, I'm looking at a game like today and I think that what you also require a lot of the time is that element of work rate, and I don't think Roderick will ever have that in a Celtic jersey. Christie, he does lose a lot of possession, Colin, and I've tried to stand up for him, not because I'm a Christie fanboy or anything. I've tried to stand up for him by saying that even when he loses the ball, he's the first guy to track back and win it back. He's tenacious, isn't he? I don't get a lot of that with Tommy Roderick. I think that, that he's got that style about him. Yeah, magical on the ball. The feet are incredible at times, almost magnetic. The wizardry that he can display, but I don't think he has that dig, and I don't think he's got the work rate that Ryan Christie has.
I agree with you there, but I also think Ryan Christie has a tendency to give away daft tackles when he comes back. We spoke about this the other night. He just doesn't seem to have any sort of composure to play in a certain position. He loves to run about, sometimes like a headless chicken, just to run in and try and win the ball back and then drive forward. He's got bags and bags of energy, but he just doesn't seem to have the discipline to play in a central position. I think today we're going to see a lot of the ball, and I think when you've got games like that, Tom Roderick is the man to go to. He's the person that can split open a defence. He's the one that can be the creative force going forward. And that's why I would have brought Roderick in over Christie. Christie would be a great option to turn to with maybe 25-30 minutes to go if it's still quite tight, to stretch them. They'll be putting 10 men behind the ball. They'll be getting tired as the game goes on. And that's when you're looking to guys like Johnston to come off the bench, Klamala, Ayeti, to stretch them and actually open them up. And you might see a couple of goals late on in the game.
Now we've got a message coming in from Mark. Welcome back to the show. So 19 points to catch, 4 games in hand. Same basically as we all expected this morning. Kevin, you said you're not looking forward to this. Booker Jack, Merry Christmas, fellows. Good solid team selection by the governor. Can't wait to see Turnbull, Sorrow, Calmack and Christie tear teams apart from now on. When you're looking at that, I must admit, I'm more looking at the defence because that's been our biggest issue all season. I was listening to Sam Allardyce this morning getting interviewed in relation to the job he's just taken at West Brom. What's the first thing you need to do, Sam? Well, just basically sort out the defence. I do get the sense that, we have got a lot of creativity, just like Booker Jack says, and that's never really my concern, Colin. It's like you say, we're, if you remove Christie for that team and you put Roderick in, you've still got the creativity. My biggest concern is the defence, and I'm looking at that again. Frimpong, never a defender. Taylor, I think he's been, criticised maybe a wee bit too much, because I think as a defender, he gets past marks time and time again. And then you've got, once again for Hazard, a central defensive partnership that's clubbed together. You've got Beaton and Ayer. Is that a concern for you, Kev? Because I have no concern, as I say, about the creative aspect of Celtic's play.
The big guy, Mayo, up front for Hamilton could cause Beaton and Ayer some problems. I'm quite happy with Taylor being in there. I think Taylor's a better option than Laxalt over the last couple of weeks. I think Taylor gives us more what Neil Lennon wants down that left-hand side. I wouldn't have played Rogic today instead of Christie, because that would mean that Tam would have to go into David Turnbull's position, and Turnbull be moved out to the right-hand side, which I don't want that. I think Christie can do a shift on that right-hand side with Frimpong as well. Of course, I'm worried about the defence. Our defence is absolutely shocking, and the coaching staff didn't seem to be able to sort it out. They didn't seem to be able to actually just get a defence to do the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is mitigating factors. It looks like Big Julien must be injured because he's not even on the bench today. Duffy got injured after him and Julien looked an all right partnership in a season of terrible partnerships at the centre of defence. But I think we looked better because Ayer was at right back, and Ayer gave us a wee bit more strength and defensive solidity on the right hand side. Beaton's came in today. For me, it's because our coaching staff think we're going to get a lot of the ball, and Beaton's going to get a lot of the ball. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be there to actually carry the ball from defence and look for not carry the ball. Beaton will be the one that will be shelling the 30-yard passes, and Ayer will be the one that's the ball carrying centre half to try and get through the pack defence. So I can understand the balance here, but look, Beaton, I don't know if Beaton's a centre midfielder or a central defender now. You still see folk go, oh, he's a converted central defender, he's still a midfielder. Well, for the last 2 seasons, for Israel and for Celtic, he's been playing as a centre half. And he still doesn't look like a centre half. He still doesn't. He has good games and he has bad games, but the kind of period that we're going through just now, I'm not happy to see him there.
No, you're right, and Julien is a shock omission. I think during the week, Colin, when we were looking at your predicted team, we had Ayer and Julien would have been that would have been the best, I think, because we expected Duffy to be injured, didn't we? And it's like you say before, we've been in that situation this season in Europe whereby we've got someone on the bench who supposedly isn't fit. Well, why are they on the bench? Because you could get an injury within 5 minutes and then have to call on someone like Duffy today. So that would be unfortunate. However, I have gone on and on about our charity fundraising endeavours, and the Celtic support came together to raise almost 27 grand for some of the most vulnerable people in our communities at one of the most difficult times. And next year we're going to do it all over again. We're going to do it slightly differently. Hopefully we'll be able to do some of the aspects of the fundraising, Colin, in person, with live events, etc. But an idea that we have had is we're going to pull together, you might look through the archive of a Celtic State of Mind episodes and notice that we have had quite a few musicians on the show. We're going to pull them together in relation to, and Kevin, you know some details in relation to what we're talking about here, getting a Celtic song together. And just on that note, Donny Boy 67 comes in with, potential lyrics for such a song. Is there anything at all that you would have an issue with in that? Look at that for a verse. Brilliant. We might be able to introduce that. Colin, come on, just say what you're thinking. Donny Boy, we might be able to introduce those lyrics. If it was down to me, certainly. No, we're looking at actually a brand new bespoke song, and that's something that we might be able to do and pull together. We're going to do it over an entire year rather than just over a 3-week period, so that we're going to be looking at songs. I think Mark, who commented earlier, Kevin, was talking about doing some kind of festival in person with regards to literature as well. So loads to consider for fundraising for next year. I'm sure we'll actually beat the target as well. Let's talk about Conor Hazard. This is his 5th game on the bounce. I think Neil Lennon's right to continue to play him. People were saying, after the Scottish Cup final that he looked a wee bit unsure of himself. He has had to deal with different defences in front of him. I think he's done particularly well. It was a bit of a nondescript performance the other night for him. This is his 5th game on the bounce. Do you think, Kevin, it's still a priority in January to dip into the transfer market for a goalie?
You would think so. If the coaching staff are going to last by January the 2nd, then you would feel that they will go and get another goalkeeper. The problem that we've got is it's quite interesting you actually say about Conor Hazard that he had a kind of nothing performance. So Barkas, majority of his performances this seasons have been nothing performances, because every time an opposition team has a shot at goal, it seems to go in, and there doesn't seem to be much for him today other than pick the ball out the back of the net in the last 8 weeks. Look, we need Conor Hazard to have a decent enough game today and be Dundee United, because he is going to play at Ibrox. That's it, bottom line. The transfer window doesn't open to is it the 4th or the 5th? I can't remember.
The 4th. Yeah.
So we're not going to get another goalkeeper. So we may as well just sit here and pray that Conor Hazard finds the gloves of David Marshall and has a sort of purple patch that Marshall had when he broke into the team.
Games like today, Colin, this is our bread and butter this season. We are all about the domestic game. We're all about getting this league charge back on track. Yeah, when you look at that league table at the moment, it seems like an unsurmountable points deficit, and all Celtic can do. I think the key is we can't drop a single thing. I mean, today, did I fancy Hibs? I did actually. Yeah, 1-1 would have been the score that I predicted in the WhatsApp chat, simply because Jack Ross, if you look at his Sunderland record, 19 1-1 draws during his time at Sunderland. And I think what that shows you is that lack of cutting edge that he has as a manager, actually, and his inability within a game as well, Colin, to put it to bed, the game management side of things. A lot of the 1-1s, they were 1-0 up. But I did predict one each today at Ibrox. Rangers are grinding out the results. And I think that when you're looking at where we are, we simply cannot drop a single point. And that includes the game at Ibrox on the 2nd of January. Looking at the bench, Stephen Dock says, I'd fancy the bench to beat the starting 11. It does seem a particularly strong bench, Colin. That was something that Brendan Rodgers prided his side on. Is that going to be crucial to today's game?
That would be impressive, a 9-man bench beating an 11-man starting 11. But no, I'm joking. It's a really strong bench today. You're looking at it, you've got a lot of options to come on if it's not going the way we want it to go. You've got Rogic, Laxalt, Moy, Klamala, Ayeti, Johnson, a lot of attacking options there. So if we do need to turn to some of these people, it would be good to see. I'd also like to see us turn to them if we're a couple of goals up as well, just to keep the freshness in and around the squad. We're playing a lot of games in a short period of time right now. So if you get 2 or 3 goals up, let's get the reserve strikers on. Let's get Klamala on. Let's get Ayeti on. Let's see if they can get a goal, build their confidence, get them going. Between now and the end of the season, we've got 22 cup finals coming up in the league. We have to win every single one of them if we're going to win this league. Will we do it? It's up to the boys to prove it.
It certainly is. Absolutely. Mark Jennings get the goal difference down a bit today. This is a type of game where, okay, we didn't get anything in terms of Rangers dropping any points today. And they've ground out a result and their fans will be happy with that. But this is an opportunity for us to try and claw back that deficit as well, because it certainly seems unsurmountable. So a 1-0 and a 2-0, yeah, that's the most important thing today. Of course it is. But, Kevin, that's where I'm coming from with regards to the 4-0. Do we have enough kind of panache in that side? Have we seen enough to suggest that we can go out away from home today and maybe win 4-0?
I'm going to say no. Overall, the job that we've got to do is like losing your trainer at the Barrowlands and hoping to find it when whose lights go up. But I'm preparing. But I'm really prepared to walk home to the train station with one trainer on it. I can't see it. I can't see it turning round. I can't see us 4-0, 5-0. I think it's just pie in the sky. I think the day is going to be absolutely atrocious, and I'll be happy with 3 points.
Kevin, I love your positivity. Just on that note, have you ever lost a trainer at the Barrowlands?
Yes.
Oh, you have. Okay, so you're talking from experience. Lee Jones, thanks for coming in on the Ryan Christie issue. Christie is a great athlete. Now, it's a discussion you and I have had during the week there, Colin. I think he is. He's unbelievable. I mean, the tenacity that he shows when he loses the ball, he is the guy that gets back to try and win it. Whereas the likes of Tommy Rogic is a kind of guy who might like hold on to his leg and then no bother running back for it. He is a great athlete, but I think what needs to happen there, he needs to be coached and he needs to be, as you say, more focused and more disciplined in an area of the park, because otherwise, and I take what you say there, he sometimes seems as though he's running about like a headless chicken. He just needs to be more focused on the park, and when he is, what you get is you get the kind of results like the goal that we've seen against Hearts, the semi-final against Aberdeen. He's a match winner on his day.
But how long do we have to wait for this to happen? Because he's not as if he's a young boy anymore. He's, 24, 25? He should have learned by now that is how you have to play when you're in the first team. It's not as if he's just a guy coming in that's coming in from the reserves, hasn't got so many games behind him. He's still trying to learn the game. He is an experienced player. He's one of the guys we should be having to turn to do something. But it's just... it's so frustrating watching him play. His decision-making at times is absolutely dreadful. And he runs about the park the way Tommy Gravenson used to at times.
Now, Colin, I'm going to ask you the question because I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Think back to Ryan Christie under Rodgers. Was he the same type of player? In terms of he's running around like a headless chicken, was he more disciplined in the positional play?
He was, and he was playing off the left. I mean, you look at the goals that he scored in Europe. Okay, it was some shots were from outside the box, but a lot of it was the interplay, and you were getting into the box, passing about 1-2s, creating the chances, opening the spaces. Our decision making this year has been terrible. I mean, it's only second to Boris Johnson running the country at the minute, how bad our decision making has been this season.
The thing is, well, Colin, and this isn't all about, let's blame everything on Lenny, but if he's shown it before, then it's like you're saying there, when are we going to see this from Ryan Christie, at this stage of his career? And it looks as though for me, he has done it before. He has been disciplined before in his positional play, and he should be able to return to that. Mark's asking the question, Kevin, you've got to answer it. Have you ever seen the Spice Girls live?
No.
Liar.
No, I haven't. No, I'll admit to M people, I'm not admitting to the Spice Girls because I've never seen the Spice Girls.
No, that's fine. It's not. Listen, mate, we've all seen bands we'd rather forget. You've already admitted, I think it was on Christmas Eve, Status Quo, or the 20th, that you'd actually went to see Status Quo. And you're never going to live that down, mate, no matter what you say. Although I did show you a great picture of Status Quo with Johnny Doyle, didn't he? Johnny Doyle was a massive fan of Status Quo. And there's a great picture of him. And I think he's presenting, is it Ray Parfitt? Is that his name?
Rick Parfitt.
Roy Parfitt or something, who knows? And he was giving him a Celtic jersey. So yes, you had a shared interest in Status Quo with Johnny Doyle. Now, someone else is picking up on the fact that Sorrow gave himself food poisoning. Colin, that's one for your football insomniac next week. Players dropping tomato ketchup on their feet and they get injured and all that kind of stuff. How important is Sorrow's introduction or reintroduction to the Celtic side, Kevin Graham?
I thought he was I thought he was a bit off the pace on Wednesday night or whenever we played. But then that makes sense now if he did have food poisoning. He looked a bit off the pace. I'm looking forward to seeing him today. This is going to be a wee bit of a culture shock for him, running about Hamilton with Storm Bella. And just waiting to see. Look, he's got more energy. He seems to let McGregor go forward a bit more, but he's got to do this for a couple of months now. He just can't come in and be a 1 or 2 game flash, get our hopes up, then disappear again. He's got to do this for now to the end of the season.
Jungle Lions coming in to ask, has any Celtic player had the balls to say their favourite band is a rebel band? Now, Colin knows the story I'm about to tell because it happened at Greenock, CSC, when we had Brian McLaren. And Brian McLaren, if anyone's ever met him, is an absolute legend. Kevin Graham, would you agree with that? You remember he was winding you up when we were at McCool's, talking about Scott Sinclair being a spy. Anyway, Brian McLaren was brilliant. He was absolutely superb as a live act. He's a funny guy. He loves winding people up. And every time I go to Greenock CSC, Colin, and you'll testify to this, someone writes in a question, what is your favourite Rebel song? And at half time, generally the players will go through all the questions, and that ends up in the don't ask me this one pile. Now, Brian McClare was very merry at that point of the night, and he says, ask me any questions you want, I'm not even going to go through them. And it came up to that question in the same handwriting every time that I go to Greenock. What is your favourite Rebel song? So I says to Brian, listen Brian, every time I come to Greenock I get asked this question, what's your favourite Rebel song? I'm not going to ask you that. By this time Brian McClare's in the audience, isn't he, walking about with a mic. I says, and I know you're a big music fan, so come on, what I would rather ask you is, what is your favourite song? And he says, the Merry Ploughboy. And the whole place erupted. Brian McClare, absolute legend. So, in answer to your question, Jungle Line, not quite, but Brian McClare gives you a bit of chat and a bit of honesty, for sure. What's your take on the situation in terms of Celtic going into the January transfer window, Colin? We've seen a lot of names being linked. I've seen the Dundee United goalkeeper being linked to Celtic. He played okay against us, didn't he, at Tannadice? And there's various other names, you know, Danish striker Kasper Junker, who's on a rich vein of form. Do we need a striker? I don't think so. Eduard's getting interest from all over the place. There's Italian clubs, there's English clubs apparently interested in Odsonne Eduard. I mean, what's your thoughts in January? Will there be a lot of players shipped out? Will we bring anybody back in? Kevin had a laugh the other day when we had some technical issues and he was basically rapping for 15 minutes. He was talking about Jack Hendry coming back, Kevin. I don't know how much of that was tongue-in-cheek. Jack Hendry's been a bit of a revelation over in Belgium. I mean, what are we going to do in January?
I think we still need to look at the centre-half position, and I did throw Kevin that grenade. Sorry, I didn't throw him the talking Celtic badge, threw him the grenade about bringing in Jack Hendry again in January. But no, I think we still do need a cultured centre-half, someone that we can rely on that's not a midfielder covering in the centre-half position like we have today, because there is still a lot of games to be played between now and the end of the season, and to only have 3 centre-halves is a bit worrying for me. I would still like to look at the fullback situation as well. I think El Hamid will probably go in January, so we probably will need another right-back in there, maybe a right midfielder on loan as well to cover James Forrest's injury. But I think the strikers, it's just about getting them the service at the minute. I think they are 4 really good strikers if you get the right service to them. And at the minute, we've just not seen that.
Kevin, what's your thoughts? I mean, you know, we're looking at Mikey Johnson coming back just as the players are preparing in the tunnel to enter the field of play. You know, Mikey Johnson's coming back. I think that is going to be key for the game at Ibrox. I really do. And I know people might look at a couple of the games that he's played there before where he's flattered to deceive. And I actually think he's going to be key down that left-hand side. What kind of business do you think Celtic will be looking to do come January?
We're at a situation at the moment where our best centre-back is also our best right-back. So that's got to be addressed, either by signing a decent right-back or another centre-half. I like the Ayer Julian pairing. And for me, I would be more looking for a right-back to come in. I do think we're going to need another winger, whether that's on loan from an English side. I've got a funny feeling that we might not see James Forrest again this season. I've just got everything just seems to be far too quiet on James Forrest for me to say that he's going to be back soon. So we probably need a wide player. As you see, you've got Mikey Johnson coming back. It'll be interesting to see if he gets any game time today, but I fully expect him to start against Dundee United on Wednesday night. I reckon we'll be a goalkeeper, a right back, and a wide player.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at the Hamilton lineup there, Kevin, coached by Brian Rice. They've only got 7 subs. I mean, is that due to the fact that their squad's been ravaged by injury and illness? Yeah, I mean that just shows you the level, obviously, of Hamilton and how they're operating, and again. Kevin, going back to you, you think it's pie in the sky stuff, winning 4 or 5-0. We'll revisit that, hopefully at half time, to see where we are with that one, mate. Because I know you do. I know you do. I know. You're just naturally pessimistic. I know that. But we'll revisit it at half time, and the game's just about to kick off. Colin Watt and Kevin Graham, thanks again for joining me on